Hello, I'm Ross Cairns. Well, I think once you graduate, more and more, there's now apps, not application apps, and they're products. And I think digital interaction it's just fantastic. It's moving into more producing products. But it's also becoming a commodity that people take it for granted, and it's going to be something that's expected. People will want a really high level of interaction design. But also, which is quite dangerous, it's also more cross-discipline. It's we've been inventing these languages of interactive media, but then other sort of designers who aren't interaction designers are picking up on that language and using it themselves. So I think that when you graduate, it's really important that you have some value of being able to produce something and some other skills, and not just relying solely on the interactive element. You asked, does the future lie in touchscreen? And I think that the answer to that would be no. One thing is there's an aesthetic. The touchscreens which we've all got and are using now are bringing an interesting aesthetic to the interactive stuff, and that's filtering through to lots of different kinds of applications and interactive media. But you've also got, if you go back to Unix and what the hardcore geeks do with the keyboard, that's not going to disappear instantly. And then you've also got Siri, for example, the new thing which you can talk to. And I was speaking to just a friend in the pub, and he's not to do with technology, but just saying, he says when he's in his living room on his own and he's bored, he starts talking to Siri and asking it questions. And I mean, that's really something there, is the fact that, you don't even need to be near the computer. I think it just comes down to the context of where you're using it. I mean, the boring example of Siri is when, someone's using it to send a text message in a car. That's amazing. But then you've got, if you've seen Space Odyssey 2001, you've got HAL. And, just even watching the clip where he's interacting with that, it's, just by talking to someone, the fact it can provide you with entertainment, I don't think it's going to cause problems. I think it's just a great place to explore, and something that we've not even touched on yet and seen where it'll take us. And then also you've got touchscreen, you've also got 3D printing. That's going to change stuff in a massive way for the interaction design, digital design. Yeah, not even just prototyping, I don't think. It's more just the tinkers, people who tinker about stuff, and where you can get stuff made. It's almost like these IKEA chef kits, which you can put stuff together. Now this is going to be applied to everything. And also you've got the whole gaming aspect of stuff and social. There's a lot of future in that. I don't think they have necessarily. I don't think people have changed. I mean, there's more of the technology, but then it's also getting more focused into just doing specific tasks, not things which can do everything. And also, a lot of the iPhone is about creating content and being creative, and that's something that's enabling people to do. When you've got Instagram, which is just applying sort of cinema effects to a photograph, or you've just got emoticons for the way people write stuff. But then you can also, as a designer, you can play on how dependent people are on the technology. You can play to the addictive qualities, or you can try to manipulate people and think about, well, they're dependent on this, and manipulate for good or bad or interest. Yeah, I mean, I'm quite an offline person, I would have said. But yeah, I think definitely we should. I think the technology's actually given us more choices, so we won't end up like Wall-E, where, well, I don't know if Wall-E's like, but we're watching less crap TV as a result. But I think it does bring people together. I mean, Facebook and all these things, I don't really I use it to facilitate relationships, and people do, like meeting in the real world, and then you've also got, you know, sort of more grassroots level, like meetups, and then where, you know, some sort of organisation will say, let's go to the pub and invite everyone down, you know. It works for us, but then there's also the context. I mean, I'm living in the middle of a massive city where there's loads going on, but as soon as I go away or spend some time away, say in the countryside, then you are isolated anyway, and then you can, all of a sudden Twitter and things like this become a lot more interesting. But I think we've got, what is important for interaction designers or people is we need to learn how to approach this media. I mean, some of the feelings that people get out of Facebook by looking at photographs, I mean, we've all done the same. You go to some event, and after the said event, if you go to visit somewhere with friends, you look at the photos and it looks like you're having the most amazing time. And you know, it wasn't as good as the photographs. And you know, a lot of when you're reading the streams, you know, people are getting depressed when they're looking at, God, look what all these people are doing. Or, you know, it's such an emotional minefield, and that's something which I think will become more educated of over time, or it's definitely an issue where to show people that this is happening. I mean, that comes down to manipulating people. You can manipulate yourself by looking at, I mean, it's just, if that makes sense.